This was supposed to be a really awesome weekend. Look at how great my car looks. See how perfectly I got that windshield banner centered? Do you know how hard that is? You really only get one shot with those things. Okay, yes, I did that with black touch-up paint. It's a race car. It's fine. This was my second competitive grid life event, and probably the 10th or 12th time that I'd been to Heartland Park, which was my local track in Topeka, Kansas. Heartland is the track where I learned how to drive a car to its limit, and admittedly sometimes slightly beyond its limit. But most importantly, Heartland made the idea of racing accessible to me, because it's close to home. And for someone who has one car to drive to the track and back home again, that's really important. I've had a lot of really great times at this track and met some of the best people. But unfortunately, for reasons that can be summarized as, let's say, local government greed, as you're watching this, Heartland Park has locked its gates for the last time and is now gone forever, which made this moment suck just that much more. So what happened? Well, a couple things happened. The first thing was my serpentine belt broke, and that caused my motor to overheat. And that caused the coolant expansion tank cap to pop open, which blew coolant all underneath the car, which is why I spun out. And then I hit the wall, as you saw. See this belt right here? That is a new belt. And that one, I'm fairly confident won't be breaking because I removed this. This is an AC delete pulley that goes in place of your AC compressor when you have a track car that you're not gonna have AC in. And I had that installed in the car, but I realized that that's just, parasitic drag and a little more belt to go wrong. So what I did was source a belt that actually only went around the alternator, the crank down there, and the tensioner and the water pump. So there's only 4 pulleys now instead of 5. Actually, I want to show you why this is important. All right, so up in here, there is no AC compressor anymore. And this belt used to go from up top there at the alternator, down around the water pump, and down here to the AC compressor. But because it doesn't do that anymore, the belt now has more contact surface from this front face here all the way across the bottom. Whereas before, it kind of came around like this, and it was just barely stretched around the water pump. So I got a squeal pretty frequently that I'm guessing was from the water pump. And now that I don't have that other pulley and the water pump has more contact with the belt, I don't have a squeal anymore. So I feel better about that. It took me a couple tries to find the right belt because there is no standard Mini Cooper AC delete belt. Usually people just go with that. But I basically did a rough measurement and then I ordered 3 or 4 belts from Amazon, and I just found the one that fit best and sent the rest of them back. So that's the first thing that happened that spun me out. The second thing that took even longer to deal with was the brake rotor that cracked. When I first got this car, it came with some aftermarket drilled slotted rotors on it that were brand new, so I figured I'd use them. And I probably just used them too long for too many track days, because once I had dealt with the belt issue and I pulled my car in and done a little inspection over it, and I was pulling mud and grass out from the subframe, I saw the crack on the rotor and I knew that I had to deal with it, because you don't want those exploding while you're on the track. But as luck would have it, nobody in Topeka had a set of brake rotors for that car. So what did I have to do? I drove overnight from Topeka back to Kansas City to pick up a pair of brake rotors, to get them put on that morning and then get back on track the next day. So essentially I got one good session in, and then at the very beginning of the next session I wiped out, hit the wall, dealt with the belt, discovered the brakes, and then drove to Kansas City, had to do the research to find where the rotors were, came back, got them put back on, discovered that I had an alignment issue since I went off the track, dealt with that, missed the rest of the sessions on Saturday, and then slept just enough to have a decent day on Sunday. But Colin, you haven't even addressed the fact that you hit the wall. I know, it's crazy, because this is the only damage that you can see from that incident. There's a little bit of paint and vinyl scraped off here. There's just some rub marks. This is a little bit cracked. It destroyed my tow hook. That's gone. I'm gonna have to get that out somehow. But otherwise, this car is flawless. That little cosmetic boo-boo is not even enough to make me want to address putting a new bumper on it or fixing any of it. I'll just chalk it up to being a race car and having, call it battle scars. But it should be said, I'm sad that Heartland Park is closed. It's January now, and it's literally 0 degrees outside as we speak, which is why there's snow on my car, because I've been driving it in the snow. Heartland is gone. Heartland is the track that I learned how to drive fast on. I spent a lot of time at that track over the summers, and it's too bad, because that was not only the closest track to home, but it was the closest track by a long ways. Anything I do now will be out of state, and it'll have to be a road trip to get to. But that's fine, because I'm starting a career in racing. Not a career, starting a hobby in racing, something I enjoy. And I'm excited for that. So here's to new beginnings, enjoying what you have while you have it, and moving forward. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye.